are you like most proud of from this year?
Javontae, you're not going to get me to cry.
Yes, I will. Let's go. Come on.
What I'm proud of is I didn't give up. I just continued to say what I wanted and allowed space for the universe to give me what I needed. I traveled back and forth 2 hours to a whole nother city, homeless. Doing this podcast, coming into the work, working different secondary jobs within the city. I still giving the shirt off my back. I still did things as if I had a home still, but in reality, I was just as homeless as the people that I was serving.
Welcome back to another episode of Philly Keep On. No. See, I'm following you. This is not Philly Keep On Loving.
It's Keep On Loving the Podcast. I was just trying to
Loving
see
the
if you knew.
podcast. It's Keep On Loving the Podcast because the people in Argentina feel left out.
Hey, people in Argentina. Hey, Yolanda, Javontae's
Shout out
mama.
to Yolanda.
My mama.
My mama, your mama.
Mm.
Mia.
It's closer to the end of the year. Like
It's closer to the end of the year, but not quite. Yeah.
I mean, in public health life, I feel like this is like the time right now where it is starting to roll down for a second only because it's the holiday. Because as soon as January rolls in, it's like, what holiday?
Exactly. What holiday? Who are you? Why do you still work here? Do you work here?
Well,
Yeah.
you know, how was so... You know, we always record sporadically, so
No, not since Dylan came
not
into
since
our life.
Dylan. You're right. Like
Dylan is I won't say slave driver because that's just
you know it's too. Yeah,
we are both black and Dylan is white. We will not go over there with those metaphors.
Okay,
but he keeps us on task.
Okay,
and so does Ricardo.
Yes,
shout out to Ricardo.
Shout out to
and
Ricardo.
also John. Thank you for joining us, John.
Yes.
So John's like, did they just break the wall? Yes, we did.
John, like I love you give me like producer. Okay.
I don't know what any of that means.
I don't know, but I'm really excited. I'm like in a good mood right now.
You were saying because we record sporadically.
Yes, like when I say sporadically, like sometimes, you know, y'all, we may have already recorded to what y'all see, but it's okay, you know.
Yeah.
We already told y'all the secret.
We're trying to get the episodes in the can so that way we can post consistently. And I think, you know, flashing back to our episode of consistency, which they may or may not have seen already. I don't know. If you have seen it, it's probably right up here. If you haven't seen it, well, click there because it'll be there. So, Ahmea, since it's the end of the year when we're recording this,
so many events are coming on.
So many events are coming up. But yesterday was Trans Day of Remembrance. What is that?
So Trans Day of Remembrance is a time where we take time. So it's a time that we take time to remember the lost transgender and gender non-binary people that were lost and or slain this year. So Forbes actually came out with an article stating...
Forbes magazine.
Yes. So right now we have 36 individuals who we have documented that have been killed senseless.
Just in 2023.
Just in 2023. So they're dating from October 2022 to the beginning of November of 2023. So that is how that they got those numbers. So we're at 36 for this year. And then...
You say that we're at, as if you expect more to be added.
So what I was going to say was Forbes came out with an article stating that it could be up to 230 transgender or gender non-binary people that are undocumented from a slaying. We don't account for the names that were either dead named or not named correctly. And even a bigger thing of life after death for trans is that even after being slain and the family having to go through a burial, or even your loved ones having to go through a burial or may have to find things that are going out, when it's time to put your name on a death certificate, the coroner can 9 times out of 10 is the one that determines your sex. So as I live my life as a woman, identification changed. Everything needed to live my life in what America tells me I need to do to be considered a woman on this earth. At death, I can still be dead names and name change. Now the coroner can say, you know what, family? We'll go ahead and let you keep her assigned female on the death certificate. If the body gets to the funeral home is allowed to go in and say, you know what, actually the coroner messed up. This is actually a male body I have here. So when we think about things like that and we think about Trans Day of Remembrance, we think about things that we actually still actively need to make sure we're working. But yesterday was my first time being able to take my full work hat off and actually be able to engage with community in a really long time where I'm able to see them on ground level. And just to not being from Philadelphia, coming from a place where there's not many trans women, and being here and seeing so many women's names and men's names for Trans Day of Remembrance, and then them talking about people, it was a humbling experience. I did 2 events yesterday.
And you were featured in USA Today.
I totally forgot about that.
We're going to link to this in the show notes, but you were featured in a national publication, USA Today. What was that about? Because I don't read.
I knew you didn't.
I just read, honey. I just read, but I don't read.
Don't try it today.
It's in my queue. It's in my queue to be listened to.
So shout out to the... So if anyone doesn't know, if you haven't heard me talk about it through this year, I was asked to be a part. Oh, let me not say I was asked, because the girl applied for the Human Rights Campaign's Trans Justice Initiative. They had a trans femme cohort this year, and I was one of 12 women out of 1,500 women that applied. I was one of 12 women that were asked to come through.
You realize that's less than 1%.
Well, you know, everything I manifested this year that was going to happen from there has happened. So I
want to come back to that.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
But shout out to Tori Cooper, to the Human Rights Campaign, who called me.
Get Tori on the podcast.
Baby, I was on the phone with Tori last night until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we got to get Tori on the podcast.
Have to.
Yeah.
Coins. But when they called me and were like, "Hey, we're doing this," and I was like, "Okay." And if you know, I was in a really dark place when I did this, but it actually catapulted me. So it was just talking about trans needs and what it looks like to be trans in America and what it looks like to be trans right now.
But just not a conversation with your good Judy.
It's not.
It's a national publication.
And so I'm reading the articles, right? So I'm not I took a moment to cry, but then the first article comes out, and that's the actual major article. And then they drop a editorial conversation article, and the article is centered around the work of what I was talking about. And I'm so confused because I'm like, you have 2 people who are in Florida right now fighting for lives for trans people. And what I said to you, in the editor's notes, they said that when I was speaking, they took a pause longer than they've ever had to take with any other guest. And sometimes I don't realize the things that I say or what comes out of my mouth, because I usually say, Creator, please allow what needs to be said to come from you and out of this vessel. Yeah. So just knowing that, simple things like I put my pants on one step at a time as you. And then returning it back to last night, and hearing so many women talk, it's like, yo, we put our pants on just as one time as you. What is different? What is new? And I'm very proud. I didn't realize how epic this was until I got off the phone off the Zoom during the interview.
Bro, you do big shit.
I do. I do.
Let's not play and pretend that you're not who you are.
You know what? I try to be modest about it. Like, I'm always excited when
I don't think you try hard.
I try to shop. Like, I try to shop it around and let people know exactly like what's going on with me, because I am a girl in transit. And I just want to make sure that like when I don't like boasting about it or be like, oh, I was in this article or I was doing
But
this.
it's important to let the kids know.
Absolutely.
Okay,
And I
don't get it twisted.
I do it because I don't do it for the haters, because haters gonna hate regardless. They're gonna hate that it was there. But I do it for people who, and I specifically do it, and I realized why I did the work again sitting in this room last night at William Way. When I say I do this for my trans girls, for women who may not ever be able to step in a role like me, who may never ever understand what it is to be here, who may not even want this role but just want somebody to speak their name, I do this for them. So coming to an event yesterday and seeing the Morris Morris homegirls and them getting up and talking, like, I was like, they need my seat. Like, they need to be here. Like, they need to talk. We need them on the podcast because, like, they knew their statistics, they knew numbers, and they knew what they didn't want to do anymore. They knew they didn't want to get in the high anymore, and they knew that they wanted to bring other women from the streets. And that's what they talked about yesterday. Going back into the rubble to bring out others. That, I think, sit my whole night. That and Andrea did.
Oh, Andrea Harrington. Shout out to Andrea Harrington, mother of Philadelphia. This is a very Philly-centric episode. Because you just gave them the West Philly girl clap. Like, da, 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 da.
But I tell you, because mother, she hosted the event, okay? And then they play her song to come and perform. And as soon as I hear, for every mouth, I throw my glasses off. I'm like, okay. So I'm about to go. I have to show you these photos. Like, I have never seen a drag performer do gospel.
Oh. Then you haven't seen drag performance, honey.
I mean, up close and personal.
Yeah.
And it was such a fitting song. And it was, Jesus. Okay.
Brian, were you there? Didn't we got Brian in the studio too.
Big.
Brian, didn't they do a gospel song at the brunch or the USCHA? Did
they do a drag me to brunch?
They did a drag performance.
Okay.
And I think it was to a gospel song. But it was like whiplash because before that, it wasn't as explicit as Miss Jackson If You Nasty. But it was definitely two things that do not go together. It was like this and then that, and I was getting whiplash. But I like Andrea Harrington's performance. But you said something about manifesting this year. So let's talk about that. What are you like most proud of from this year? 2023 is sunsetting.
Javontae, you're not going to get me to cry.
Yes, I will. Let's go. Come on.
What I'm proud of is I didn't give up. Like, what people...
You didn't give up.
Didn't give up. I just continued to say what I wanted and allowed space for the universe to give me what I needed. I traveled back and forth 2 hours to a whole nother city, homeless, doing this podcast, coming into the work, working different secondary jobs within the city. And literally, if you knew, you just knew. And if not, then, I was just here. I smiled. I didn't give up. I didn't break. I still giving the shirt off my back. I still did things as if I had a home still, and I was moving like I was going back home. But in reality, I was just as homeless as the people that I was serving.
That's so hard to be in the work and also be the work. Because in a different way, I can really empathize with that. I think if reflecting back on the year, I experienced a divorce this year. And when we talked about the breakup episodes, Brian, you just dropped something. You got to go.
Got to
go. But
security.
Security. We got people interrupting the production. But experiencing a divorce and also talking about like getting over a breakup and going through a dark time. And I didn't realize how much it was going to impact me.
At all. But how resilient it makes you.
Yeah.
But you know what? And I say it, I don't say it. I will say this. As African Americans, we are kind of already have that program in us of resiliency, of like, I think it's some things that we have to unlearn.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, okay, this just happened. Such and such just passed away. I just had a nasty breakup. I'm home. But guess what? Guess what I gotta do tomorrow? I'm worried about my breakup, but I'm also having to write a grant, or I'm working on this. And there's sometimes we try to heal ourselves within the work that we do. And sometimes it sucks because you don't have that time to grieve and or to put your work on top of the work that you already have to do with the community is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but the work is also very healing.
Yes.
Right? Like in some of the darkest times for me in 2023, I threw myself further into the work, which is a trauma response, right? Like, let's don't get it twisted. It's not productivity.
My therapist
a trauma
told me
response.
to go ahead and let that go.
Yeah. And at the same time, like the more we do, for example, at our office, we had the opportunity to bring on a new team member, right, who happens to be a Black gay man. And the opportunity to create jobs for Black and brown men to do this work, and to influence leadership on the decisions that they make as a Black man, like that's a very healing and cathartic position to be in. Yeah.
As a former Black man, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Things you don't hear every day. As a former Black man.
As a former Black man, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Would you say that you learned something from the challenges of this year?
Oh, my God. Yes. And the biggest thing that I have learned, again, shout out to Tori Cooper, and this is what I have held on to since February of this year. Every single thing that you do is an interview.
It's an interview.
Everything. Right now, how we're talking, what we're speaking, someone is watching thinking, how can we use them? When we go ahead and we move, when we're
use
walking
us, honey. Come run this coin.
You can find me at.
You can use me, Ahmea, John, Ricardo, Brian.
Yes.
Run these coins.
Please. But everything that you do is an interview, from the time that you show up, from the time that you leave, how you move, so that has put me in a new mind frame of how I move.
Yeah. People are always watching.
Ugh.
I posted a reel, and I mean, I'm not saying that as like people's watching, but I posted a reel, and I don't post a lot on social media, on my personal socials, but I posted a reel, and it got like 900 views within
Isn't it not
12 to
crazy
15 hours.
when you do stuff like that? Yeah.
Would you say that the lessons you've learned has allowed you to set goals for 2024?
Yeah,
What's a goal?
Hungry.
Ooh.
Hungry. Like, if this is
Don't eat
what...
the mic. Because the way you said that.
I am. Like, if this is what 2023 gave...
Ooh. Baby.
If this is what 2023 gave, 2024, please watch out. From doing a national conversation with Gilead Pharmaceutical reps in the HRC. From the hustle of being, if people knew what I did to get to USCHA, the hustle of the United States Conference on HIV and AIDS. This year's theme was a love letter to Black women. And God damn it, I'm a wonderful Black woman. So I needed my love letter. I needed to know what you wrote to Ahmea. Yeah. And everything that I did, I started trying to apply for USCHA in March.
For a scholarship.
Yes. So I tried to get a scholarship. Didn't work out. The city was like, go ahead and just apply for an abstract. Didn't get I applied, sat there, waited, and they were like, actually, someone actually submitted something kind of like yours. Thank you so much. And so now I'm making phone calls to agencies like, hey, do you have an extra spot? Like, how can I get here? And literally 2 weeks before USCHA, I get an email that someone had anonymously submitted my name to sit on the National Trans and Non-Binary Cohort Board for USCHA, which then means that I have to give an institute. So in 2 weeks, they're like, can you write an abstract in 2 weeks? Actually.
Well, it's funny that you should mention that.
And so it was when I talk about the dedication and the hustle of that was the only no I got that year. The only no that I got for 2023 was USCHA. So when that yes happened, there's so many things in the background that happened and that could have been great, could have been better. I had some very life-devastating things happen to me while I was at USCHA. But it wasn't going to stop a girl. Why? Because I manifested this. This is what I'm here for. And this is what's going to roll into my 2024. Now, 2024, I'll be sitting on this community advisory panel for the next 3 years. So my voice as a Black trans woman will now be heard through national conferences. For the next 3 years, I'll be writing an abstract for a national conference for you to come in and learn about what my lived experience is to help you go back into your community and help somebody else.
You're on fire today.
Am I?
A little bit.
Like, it was the trans.
I think the energy reset worked.
It was, and you know what? I will say, like, today coming in, sometimes, like, I sit here because I'm not on the ground floor. When I leave a space with a ground floor, I do become grumpy.
And when you say ground floor, you're meaning like being in the community,
oh
doing
my
the
God,
work.
yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I think,
Ooh, you want to make me cry. Like, I really miss that. Like, I really do.
Yeah. And I can see your passion for it. But I think that for me in 2024.
Yes, Javontae, let me ask you the question.
It's going to be more, it's going to be to scale. Like, I want
down
more
or
up. Well, both. It's going to be versatile scale.
I love a versatile scale.
It's going to be versatility. So, on the one hand, I want to scale up more of the productivity, right?
Love that.
You are crying. I got you to cry. Episode over. Actually, we got a minute left. But I want to do more of the good stuff, right? I want to do more of the things that makes my heart smile, not just my face, right? And in terms of scaling down, I want to say no to a lot more things. I've started to do that.
Because no is a complete sentence.
No is a complete sentence. Also, like when you put your phone on silent, I forgot I got to put my watch on silent now. But that's a whole nother episode.
Oh, come on, Apple Watch.
So, not sponsored. Not sponsored.
Hey.
But I think like scaling down and making sure that I say no to the things that don't absolutely enthrall me. I've been on the grind so long and having to say yes to so many opportunities. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm not by any stretch of the imaginations on Oprah's level.
We getting there.
But at the same time, I've worked enough to say no to some of the opportunities that just do not make me enthusiastic. But yeah, we got a countdown. We did that.
That was a quick. Ooh.
And you cried.
I'm trying to not, like, I'm probably going to bawl as soon as these cameras stop rolling.
Well, this has been another episode of Keep On Loving the podcast. I'm Javontae.
I am Ahmea Pacheco Branch. I would like to call this a wrap. And go ahead, Javontae.
No matter how you're loving, just
Please.
keep on loving.
Keep on.
Deuces.